participation of minority folks in science. California and the nation needs everybody to participate. Nobody gets a pass. Everybody has to use their talents to make this society work. Whether we are film producers or artists or writers or scientists, everybody has to participate in a big way. And there's a
So you think we need more minds to going into science?
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We need minds of every flavor going.
Do you think that minorities somehow get stulted, or somehow, do you think there's a problem with them going in there? Do you think?
Well, not that there's a problem, it's just that they haven't.
Is it an unusual ratio as far as?
Oh, sure. I mean, if you look at
representation in society?
Yes, it's very low. It's
okay.
Probably under 10% of practicing scientists or minority group folks.
We've got 52.
And we got 52. So what do we do as people retire? What do we do as the current generation of scientists goes off and lives in Sun City or whatever they want to do, or retire to Florida or go to the south of France?
We need to replace them.
We need to replace them, and we need the creativities of everybody. You know, when we look at a physical problem, when we look at a research problem, the more diverse, the more intellectually diverse the group of folks that is looking at that problem, I think the more interesting solutions that come up.
So you think that really different cultures bring different solutions to a...
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that the questions that we allow ourselves to ask in a certain way, not in a fundamental way, but in a certain way, reflect who we are and what we're interested in. That you're a woman from Georgia, and that you like the blues in a certain way, colors the way you look at the world.
The way that I think, and the way that I would deal with a chemistry problem?
Absolutely, and the way that you ask a research question. And the way you ask a question very frequently determines what the answer is, or the range of answers that are possible. So having a really diverse group of folks, everybody looking at a problem but from their own perspective, think of how rich that collection of answers is going to be. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to take all of these answers and throw out what makes no sense and keep all those things that do make sense. And what I mean by making sense is those that we can replicate experimentally, those that stand up to experimental verification or not.
So anyway, let's talk about the program.
Okay.
Let's talk about, you know, if I was a minority student, or I am because I'm a woman, right? Do I qualify? Or is
every student at Cal State LA qualifies to apply?
Minorities, right?
Sure, but these are institutional grants, and everybody at Cal State LA is eligible to apply to participate in these programs. Now, you might say, well, aren't they targeted at minority folks? Absolutely, they're targeted at minority folks. We're trying to encourage those populations to not only consider careers in science, but we're actually interested in those folks that have already made that decision, that do want to do science, and we'll take them from wherever they are and help them develop their talent so that they're wildly competitive for positions in PhD programs and hopefully establish high-profile research careers.
And it's a pretty generous grant for the students, isn't it?
It's our perspective is, if we're going to make high demands of somebody in terms of their time, and we do, then we do support them. So undergraduates can get stipends from between $6,000 and $9,000 a year. So in terms of a fellowship,
Which is
sure,
great for research
they're
for
terrific.
undergraduates.
Absolutely, absolutely.
How does it work? How would someone who's interested in this, how do they apply for it? Is there a website? You want to tell us?
Yes, there is.
Give us all the lowdown skinny.
There is a website, and it's www.calstatela.morepro. And but you can download an application, and then the hard part is identifying talent. The folks that are successful in these programs are those that want to do science, not those that want to tinker and perhaps see if science is for them, but for those folks that through one mechanism or another have realized that science really is their calling, and that they're willing to commit and work their rear ends off to become the best scientists that they possibly possibly can. We are not in the business of converting anybody to
You want them
science.
already committed.
Absolutely. You know, people will be outstanding at those things that they love to do, not at those in which they're talked into doing.
Right.
You know, if somebody really wants to be a physician, they have no business
You don't want
doing
those
something. No, they should be a physician, and they should do those things that are going to make the best physician possible. If they want to do science and they're willing to work hard at those things that will make them a great scientist, this is where we can help develop their talents. You might say, well, what about people if they don't know? Those people need to go do some research.
They need to take some more classes and figure out what they want to do.
Volunteer in a laboratory. Find out if that's what they want to do.
What kind of demands do you make on your people?
You know, they should, if they look at their undergraduate curriculum, they should really be willing to spend 50, 60 hours on their schoolwork a week. Between their classes and their research participation, we are talking about 50 or 60 hours a week, and that we can pay them $6,000 to $9,000 a year. We're not paying a whole lot on a per hour basis, but for people that want to do it, it's a godsend.
But isn't it pretty much unheard of for an undergraduate to get stipends for doing research, right?
Well, at Cal State LA, we have a tradition of hiring students to work in research labs, so it's not unheard of, but it's a great opportunity. The tuition at Cal State LA is still cheap enough, although it's getting more expensive all the time, that
still affordable.
A stipend like that can help you pay for a big part of your undergraduate education. But again, the way we view it is we are buying protected time. That's the philosophy. We're not paying you for a service. Because think of it, why would we hire a bunch of unskilled undergraduates to do science? It's a research training program. It's a developmental program. We're trying to buy this protected time so that they can excel, so that they can then go to PhD programs.
So they don't have to go to McDonald's and work.
There
so they
you
can
go.
Go into the lab and get their training.
Absolutely.
Is this only for chemists?
No, chemists, physicists, biologists, you name it. The National Institutes of Health needs the talents of many scientific disciplines to look at issues of health and disease. And so
what about geology?
Geology, less so. Less so because it is biomedical. But again, some of these programs are not funded by the National Institutes of Health within Moore. We have some funding through the National Science Foundation, and geology is right in there. So absolutely. The good thing about Moore, it's an umbrella organization of several externally funded programs, including some that are strictly for folks in the physical sciences, folks in engineering that may have no biomedical interest.
Is this program only available to Cal State LA students?
No. Although, and I shouldn't be so boastful, but I think we have one of the strongest ones in the country. There are programs such as this at Cal State Northridge, at Cal State Dominguez Hills, at Cal State, let's say Long Beach, Cal Poly Pomona. So at most, remember, California is a minority state. So a lot of universities qualify for it, and also UCLA, UC Irvine, UC San Diego, UC Riverside.
I believe that you have one of your students from UCLA, physicist in the master's, who came over to Cal State LA.
In other words, Velvet Clay was an undergraduate at UCLA and is doing a master's program. We have a very strong component in our Moore programs that looks at folks who would benefit greatly from doing a master's before they go on for a PhD. So we have this nice little niche market of being a dynamite research-based master's that can do precisely that.
About how many